Your presenter for today, once again, it is that time where we have a good time. It is Club 265.
Tipatsane moni kulandirani ku program ya Sports Access pano pa Zodiak Television, and of course panthawi ino muli ndine Bright Kanyama.
The best shows for the people, because we are the best.
This is Robert Kalu with the news on Zodiac. The headlines. President Chakwera removes Chikosa Silungwe as Attorney General with immediate effect. Women Lawyers Association says there is slow progress on fresh investigations into the rape of women at Msundwe. Vice President Siri Chirima says government will soon decide on whether or not to proceed with the Shire Zambezi Waterway project. And fire guts part of Moody water treatment plant of the Blantyre Water Board. Now the news in detail. President Lazarus Chakwera, Vice President Dr. Saulos Chirima says government will soon decide on whether or not to proceed with the Shire Zambezi Waterway project. Speaking Wednesday after touring the project, Chirima said government will make public its final stand on the project soon without being specific as to when this will be. The project was abandoned 7 years ago. Alfred Guta reports.
Let Bingwa Mtarika's dream, the Shire Zambezi Waterway project, continues to hang in the balance. Now, the Idon Sanje inland port is expected to be used for flooding cargo from Beira in Mozambique through the railway line. The country's Vice President Dr. Saulos Chirima has, however, downplayed fears that the project has been abandoned, saying discussions are underway on whether to proceed with the project or close it. Dr. Chirima on Wednesday toured various projects in Nsanje, including the port in question. Dr. Saulos Chirima told Zodiac that a decision will be made on government's final stand on the project without being precise as to when.
I think there is still discussions ongoing. It hasn't been abandoned. I would rather say that let's wait. I think when a decision has been taken, everyone will be notified. The good news though is that they have decided to use the infrastructure for rail, which is a plus. Then it's not going to be idle because money was already invested in there. And therefore, because the rail is moving at a much faster pace than the actual project there, let's use the rail and use the infrastructure that is existing, plus whatever will come up as new infrastructure, housing, warehouses, offices, etc. We can leverage the fact that we already have a solid structure that is in place.
Senior Chief Malemia and Traditional Authority Jimombo earlier appealed to the Vice President to ensure that various projects, including Sanje Maraka Road and the Bangula Maraka Railway Line, are delivered as expected, lamenting the slow pace at which the projects are running. The Sanje District Commissioner, Dr. Milson Machaya, shares the Chief's concerns, saying transportation is a serious concern in the district.
Where we are now, behind me, there is a famous place called Ntayamoyo. And this one, the water body that is running there is Shire. So people cannot cross as they used to. They have to use canoes. And we have quite a number of villages and people across called Makanga. The other side is also cut off by Ruo. So it's completely turned into an island. We have a health center there that we are still manning. So you can see that when it comes to provision of services like health center, schools, and even during the voting process, it's not easy for us to carry the bulk of goods in order to provide the essential services to such places.
The Shire Zambezi Waterway project was expected to connect Malawi to the rest of the world, thus reducing the country's transportation cost. For Zodiac in the lower Shire district of Nsanje, this is Alfred Guda reporting.
Women Lawyers Association says stakeholders have not made tangible progress on the fresh investigation into the alleged rape of women in Msundwe, Mbatalika and Mpingu in Lilongwe in 2019. This has been disclosed by the association's president, Immaculate Maluza, in an interview with Zodiak today, Wednesday. It was announced in April this year that the police and the Women Law Association, which is the legal representative of the women, agreed to jointly conduct a fresh investigation following an inconclusive police probe that failed to identify the officers responsible. Meanwhile, experts have suggested need for an in-depth research to establish root causes of the increased cases of defilement in the country, which would provide direct direction on how to deal with the cases apart from relying on the law. Dr. Sunduzwayo Madise from University of Malawi and Crispin Ngundi from Malawi Law Society said there is need for the country to find remedies through other means other than law, which is often limited to a few. Fire has gutted down some panels at Moody Water Treatment Plant in Blantyre, a development which has interrupted supply of water in the city. Blantyre Water Board Chairperson George Mnesa says the fire, which started last night, has destroyed equipment valued at 65 million kwacha. Mnesa says engineers are currently working on finding alternatives to fix the crisis. Christopher Sander reports.
Officials say they are in a major crisis after fire gutted down in Kama panels at Moody Water Treatment Plant in Blantyre last night. Blantyre Water Board Chairperson George Nessa says workers managed to put out the fire, but a damage had already occurred. He says equipment worth 65 million kwacha has been destroyed.
It is a major crisis because water is life, and most of Blantyre is supplied from here. So to have a loss of part of our equipment and we are unable to pump water, it's a major crisis, and we need to resolve that as soon as possible. Yeah, what has happened that last night there was a fire in the inlet equipment, and this is the equipment that receives power from ESCOM.
He adds that engineers are on the ground to find alternative ways of supplying water to residents as they plan to order new machines from India. Authorities say this challenge will largely affect people from Chichiri, Kanjeza, Manja and Bangwe townships. Reporting for Zodiac from Blantyre, this is Christopher Sande.
The Malawi Revenue Authority is projecting loss of 3 billion kwacha in customs tax revenue during the duty-free week, which government has introduced. Head of Corporate Affairs at the tax collecting body, Mr. Steve Kapoloma, says the authority is already putting in place measures in preparations for the week to ensure smooth operations. But economic expert Dr. Bechani Chereni has meanwhile tipped the revenue body to put in place stringent measures that will not expose the initiative to abuse. Angela Mkandawira with details.
Mwazina bungwe lotolera misonkho la Malawi Revenue Authority lati laphunzitsa kale akatswiri komanso kuyika makina internet amphamvu zomwe zithandizire kuchepetsa ntchito yawo mu sabata yomwe amalawi omwe amalipira msonkho. In place a technical team to ensure it has robust internet connectivity and adequate human resource to handle traffic that will be caused by the duty-free week, when registered taxpayers will be importing goods not more than $3,000 duty-free. MRA Director for Corporate Affairs Steve Kapoloma told members of the press in Mzuzu Tuesday that being a new tax measure, it is likely a lot of registered taxpayers will seize the privilege to import goods.
We have put a team that is looking at making sure that the internet is robust, making sure that the officers on the ground they are enough to cater for such kind of influx. We're also strategizing to know which borders was most likely to have more traffic, so that we are able to apportion the human resource to the right border.
However, while Malawians will be enjoying the duty-free privilege, government will be parting away with about 3 billion kwacha that would have been collected if the reform was not implemented. But Kapoloma says government won't feel the loss, as the money will still be recovered from the expenditures that traders will be making from profit of the imported goods.
So the objective of government is to make sure that we spur the business environment. We provide a conducive environment to the business so that they're able to bring in goods. When they're able to bring in goods duty-free like this, then they will be able to gain profit. And through that, we should be able now to tax that particular profit.
Meanwhile, economic expert Dr. Bechani Chereni says the initiative is likely to affect the market where some goods will be imported in excess.
We need to understand the way the government is going to raise enough resources which should actually be lost as a result of the duty-free week. In terms of the abuse, there are possibilities of it being abused. There we hope the Revenue Authority has done some work on that one to make sure that it can protect.
Meanwhile, Treasury spokesperson Williams Banda says government will announce at the appropriate time when the duty-free week will be conducted. For Zodiac, this is Angela Mkandawile.
President Lazarus Chakwera has fired Dr. Chikosa Silungwe as Attorney General with immediate effect. Our sources say Silungwe, who has 2 years left on his contract, will not be reassigned elsewhere. The reason has not been given for his dismissal of Dr. Silungwe, who was lead lawyer of Vice President Saulo Chilima in the historic presidential election case.
So what we know so far on this matter is that clearly we can confirm Dr. Chikosa Silungwe has been released. He had signed a 3-year contract at the start of his tenure, and he's only run a year of that. What this effectively means is that government will have to pay him for the 2 years that remained on his contract. There has been no official communication yet. In fact, as of late Wednesday evening, Dr. Silungwe had not yet received official communication, but we understand he had gotten word that he has been removed as Attorney General for this country. And immediately after that, we saw people taking to social media, some congratulating him for the service he's given to the nation. One of his lawyer friends, Kumbo Bonzo Soko, who was together with Dr. Silungwe on Dr. Saulo Chilima's legal team during the presidential elections case, has gone to social media to post Silungwe served with distinction and unparalleled integrity. He can hold his head high. And several other people have also been posting comments regarding Chikosa Silungwe, who was fondly known in social media circles as Antanga. His tenure of office, for the 1 year he has been in office, it's not been without controversies. At one point, I will raise the issue of the Electoral Commission saga, for example. He had advised President Lazarus Chakwera not to fire Electoral Commission commissioners, and President Chakwera did completely the opposite. And so things like those have characterized his tenure of office, but we are hearing, other than that, they were the two, President and Dr. Chilungo, were in talking terms, because immediately after that Electoral Commission saga, President Chakwera invited Dr. Silungwe to Ntuntama State Lodge. That time when Kamuzu Palace was under renovations. And so the two talked and discussed. We thought everything was all rosy after that, and now here we are. Official reasons we do not clearly know. President Lazarus Chakwera is at liberty not to disclose the reasons he has fired his Attorney General. This goes to explain what is happening behind the scenes and with regards to the impending cabinet reshuffle. We know cabinet reshuffle is imminent in this country. How soon, we cannot clearly say, but our sources are saying a cabinet reshuffle is imminent. The firing or the removal of the Attorney General who sits on cabinet. I mean, we would clearly call this a mini reshuffle in a way, but we are being told this may only the beginning of a more robust and a more larger cabinet reshuffle in the offing.
You're watching the news on Zodiac. We'll be back with more after this.
Munthu mmodzi payekha sangamange mudzi, koma anthu angapo kubwera pamodzi timati uwu nde mudzi. Pamodzi tili ndi kuthekera kobweretsa chitukuko mdera lathu. Network yathu ya Chimalawi ya TNM yakhala ikuthandiza madera ambiri mu njira zosiyanasiyana. Komano pano TNM ikufuna kupitiriza ntchitoyi mogwirizana ndi ife eni ake amudzi. Ndinkani yabweretsa TNM mudzi wathu. Mukagwiritsa ntchito TNM poimba foni, kutumiza ma SMS, kugwiritsa ntchito internet, kapena kugwiritsa ntchito mpamba, chaka chilichonse TNM idzipereka 1% kapena 1 kwacha pa 100 kwacha iliyonse ya ndalama zomwe yapanga kuti ithandizire pa chitukuko chomwe anthu akufuna mdera lawo. Tikabwera pamodzi ndi kugwirizana chimodzi, tikhoza kupanga zazikulu m'mudzi wathu. Tiyene m'mudzi wathu. Umodzi unamanga mtolo. Ndondomeko zidzatsatidwa.
UNICAF University, July to August 2021 intake. Special scholarships available at UNICAF University for bachelor, master's and doctoral degree programs. UNICAF University is accredited nationally by the NCHE and internationally by the British Accreditation Council in the UK. Enroll for internationally recognized degrees at a fraction of the cost. Feel safe knowing that your online studies with UNICAF University will not be disrupted by measures for the pandemic. From enrollment to graduation, everything runs smoothly online. Don't miss this golden opportunity. This offer is valid until the end of August 2021. So, apply today and get a free tablet when you register and pay the required deposit. Ring 01755 or WhatsApp 0993 907002 for more information.
I got a call from my driver telling me that my motor vehicle was involved in an accident in Balaka. I was shocked and very worried, considering that the car was only 4 months old.
Get your vehicle covered against road accidents, fire, theft, and third-party liabilities at CIC General Insurance Limited.
I submitted all my claim documents to my insurer, CIC, and within 14 days, I got my settlement through a bank transfer. I was very delighted and inspired. Later, I managed to purchase a replacement vehicle. Throughout the process, CIC staff were very diligent, friendly, accommodating, and professional all the time.
Our professional and friendly staff will ensure that you get the best customer experience that is second to none. For more information, visit our offices in Lilongwe at Area 3 Judge Building, opposite the District Commissioner's office. And in Blantyre, visit our offices at Livingstone House behind Plantation House.
I recommend CIC all day, every day for all your insurance needs.
CIC, we keep our word.
Koma narero. Nalero, gulaniko mayunits afoni mosavuta. Dial star 24/7 hash to top up your airtime. Standard Bank, it can be.
Welcome back. A look at the headlines as we continue. President Chakwera removes Chikosa Silugwe as Attorney General with immediate effect. Women Lawyers Association says there is slow progress on fresh investigation into the rape of women at Msundwe. Vice President Chirima says government will soon decide on whether or not to proceed with the Shire Zambezi waterway project. And fire guards part of the Moody water treatment plant with the Blantyre Water Board. Moving on with the news, as political parties in the country have renewed their registration in line with the Political Parties Act, political experts have given mixed views on whether or not the country should start registering and regulating operations of political pressure groups to ensure sanity in their activities. In a separate interview, political commentator George Piri said this is not necessary as most of such groups do not have long-term objectives, while another political commentator, Latif Matenje, says this can assist Malawians to easily understand missions of the groups. In the meantime, only political parties that are registered and regulated through Political Parties Act. We have a report found by Winston Kaimina.
Political parties in the country were recently asked to register under the new Political Parties Act in an exercise which has seen some of the parties failing to meet deadline. Following the exercise, some people are suggesting that operations of political pressure groups also need to be regulated to promote sanity on the country's political scene. But there are mixed views from political commentators on this suggestion. Political commentator Latimu Matenje says this can assist people in the country to easily access information on operations of the political pressure groups, including on source of funding.
They need to be also followed up and registered, so to say, because they could be used by other political parties. If you, for example, know the property of a party X, that party X can have political pressure group B operating with the resources which that party hasn't registered.
But another political commentator, George Piri, has contrary views.
I don't find a reason why pressure groups should be registered, because pressure groups are not meant to be there forever. They are only for a time that they want to give pressure politically to change some things that affect people's livelihood. They are there only for just some time.
Currently, the Political Parties Act does not mandate the office of the Registrar of Political Parties to regulate operations of political pressure groups. This is Winston Kaimira reporting for Zodiak.
The Center for Human Rights and Rehabilitation, CHRR, and the Youth and Society, YAS, say the Tonse government should draw lessons from the 20th July killings to end injustices happening in the country. A statement released and consigned by Executive Director for CHRR, Michael Kayatsa, and YAS Charles Kajiroweka, says doing that will help government avoid recurrence of such events. Toera Kumwenda has more.
Speaking to Zodiak, Executive Director for Youth and Society Charles Kajiroweka says there is no political will with the Tonse administration. As such, most issues that drove people to the streets in 20 July remain unsolved. A statement his organization released in conjunction with the Center for Human Rights and Rehabilitation says, among other things, there is need for government to draw lessons for factors that led to the July 20 killings, as the same tendencies of corruption, nepotism, and lack of transparency that led to the demonstrations and the death of 20 people are still happening.
There is need to move in and address the concerns that people have. The unemployment levels, growing inequalities, we are talking about corruption, nepotism, and lack of decisive leadership in providing, better economic governance in this country. And these are the issues that the current administration must pay attention to. Issues of reforms.
The two organizations have further called on government to compensate all remaining families of the 20 July killings, investigate all killings to recent protests, including the killing of Justin Piri, who died in 2019 in police custody in Mzuzu. Also of concern to the two organizations are delays in completion of investigations and prosecution of those involved in the murder of Isa Njaunju, Robert Chesowa, police officer Usman Imedi, and the Msundo rape incident. Government is yet to comment on the matter. For Zodiak in Mzuzu, I'm Toera Kumwenda.
Finally, Maula Prison in Lilongwe has appealed for assistance from well-wishers to cater for 106 inmates after 5 staff members and relations tested positive to COVID-19. Clinical officer for the isolation section at the reformatory, Inspector Edward Nyirenda, says with a population of more than 2,000 inmates, more support is required to contain the spread of the virus. A visit to the facility has revealed that the inmates do not have masks. We have this report filed by Western Good.
Last year, Maula Prison transferred to other prisons in the central region female inmates to accommodate those that tested positive to COVID-19, and now the facility is holding 106 positive inmates. According to the only clinician at the prison's isolation section, Inspector Edward Nyirenda, the prison needs enough assistance, including the disinfectants, masks, and sanitizers, so that all the inmates are safe. He said that so far, 5 officers are in isolation with some of their members of the family, signifying how unsafe inmates can be if there is inadequate or no materials.
We need much numbers of masks, face masks, even sanitizers, and even the nutrition food, because those people who are in the isolation cells, they are looking forward to have well-balanced diet food. And even the more disinfectant, because this disinfectant that have been given to us, I understand they will be there for 3 months. They will help us to cater for 3 months, but we don't know when this pandemic will be.
Executive Director of Pamuzi Health Support Network, Linda Kembo Nwosu, concurred with Nyirenda that every day the prison receives people that have been sentenced, hence the need to assist.
People that are in prison, they are not the people that can get it easily because they are already isolated. But the people that have just coming from police stations, that's the people that they are very dangerous because they are coming from outside. So we thought of giving this disinfectant because we know that they don't have a say, but we need to give them so that they can protect themselves.
When we visited Maula prison, we found that the inmates did not even have masks on and had 106 COVID-19 positive inmates out of 7,146 cases in the country. Reporting for Zodiac, this is Western Guta.
That's about what we had time for in this edition of news, but before we go, a look at the headlines. President Chakwera removes Chikosa Silungwe as Attorney General with immediate effect. Women Lawyers Association says there is need to show progress on the fresh investigations into the rape of women at Msundwe. Vice President Chirima says government will soon decide on whether or not to proceed with the Shire Zambezi water project. And fire guards part of Moody water treatment plant of the Blantyre Water Board. Visit our website zodiacmalawi.com for more news. My name is Robert Kalua. Thanks for watching.